Well, we're casual.
Yeah, and we're live. So,
hello, everybody.
Yeah, hey, everyone. All right, Rich, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you're doing? I'm going to
Rich Catino from Metal Asylum and Brave Words, as I'm wearing today, and the Metal Hall of Fame. Joined with, no, wrong side, Jack.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? Yeah, it's Jack Mangan of MetalAsylum.net, of course, and the Metal Hall of Fame. And, of course, Am I Evil, the graphic novel. I'm actually rocking the Diamond Head shirt. Well, you can't see it.
Which is getting another launch in September for the funding.
Yeah, 2 weeks out from today. So, yeah, make sure you support Am I Evil graphic novel. We're going to do our Indiegogo launch in 2 weeks. So it's exciting. So we're down to go time. But this isn't about me and Rich. This is about, we're really, really, really fortunate today to have a guy from, no offense to Kiss, but the hottest band in the world right now is
what?
Oceans of Slumber. Seriously, this is they're going to take over and rule 2020. They have an album dropping this year, self-titled album. So Dobber Beverly, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us today, man.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here. We haven't hung out since 2018, I think.
Yeah, so yeah, Dobber and I actually got to hang out with Dobber and Cammy Gilbert and the whole band at a show in 2018 in Mesa, Arizona. So it was cool. These are fantastic people. I was gonna say, you guys are literally in a crossfire hurricane right now. So we're
somewhat. I mean, we're not in the direct horrible path, but we're gonna get a lot of fucking rain and wind, and I mean, we've there's flooding like every year now, so this is going to potentially be a horrible flood.
Wow.
Are you in the range of dangerous winds too, or you're just worried about getting the rain?
What are we considered? I think we're getting something. We're not getting the storm blast, but we're going to get considerable amount of rain, and they were saying affecting 30 miles off the coast, so we're definitely within 30-mile range. But Houston downtown can't handle fast amounts of water or level rising, so which means that downtown Houston is probably going to flood again in all the basement areas. And yeah. So,
and how far away are you from that?
We are 7 miles from downtown Houston, roughly. It's about 15-minute drive. So yeah,
not that far.
Insane.
Yeah, actually, 2 weeks ago we had on James Rivera of Hellstar, and he, we were talking about the Houston metal scene, and he called out Oceans of Slumber. He said, these guys are just, knocking out of the park. So there you go. You got a shout out from James Rivera.
James ruled. I mean, hell, the new Hellstars, fucking badass.
Yeah, the new single's great.
Yeah, I was, they always put out good music, but I was surprised at like how good and modern and everything about it. It sounded like really like revamped. It's nice. My buddy Christian from a band I'm in, Necrofire, he sent it to me and he's all like, "What the fuck? When did Hellstar get so badass again?" And I was all like, "Oh shit!" I saw the video and had seen the video posted, but I didn't get a chance to watch it just from being busy. And then so I put it on my Spotify shit while I was driving. I'm like, "Oh goddamn!" James sounds more and more Bruce Dickinson-esque every day. So,
yeah, no, they're doing great stuff. But yeah, let's talk to us a little bit about the new record. I mean, it's really like right around the corner for that dropping too.
When does it drop? What's the date? The official date?
September 4th. So we're only a week and a half away, and we're we've been sitting on the record for a while, so we're more than excited for it to be out and done. And we're, obviously very proud of this one. This is it's kind of like a return to form. It's like the things that we've always kind of meant to say and do. So that's what the record is to us.
You have how many videos out so far? A Return to Earth Below and To the Sea so far, or is there more? I forgot.
No, we have 4 videos out. Yeah.
4. That's right. The Adorned Fathomless Creation.
And Colors of Grace.
Okay.
Yeah, we been busy, we're like doing I mean, even in quarantine, it's been difficult, but um, we're we were trying not to put too much, an incredible amount of effort into all of them because the video format is such a tough nut to crack now. YouTube's only one delivery system, and it's not. If it's not organically or natural or doing well on its own because of the YouTube channel, it obviously gets punished pretty hardcore for going on Facebook. So it can only go viral by actual interest and not by, some other way. Facebook doesn't support YouTube and vice versa. So
right.
it's, it's been wild. We shot 3 videos at the same time. And just to economize everything, we needed to do that. And we basically on release day, the focus track that comes out is a song called Pray for Fire. But it doesn't matter. It's on release day, like the whole record comes out. But there's a focus track, and that's what that's going to be. And we decided to forego shooting a video for it because of the amount of work and finances and everything. Too much work, not enough finances, and the worth of it is not much of. It's cool to do videos, but it's also like it's kind of like a dying art unless you're putting half naked girls in it or doing something bombastic or doing silly stuff, like people really want to see like funny videos, and we really can't do a funny video. So sorry.
It wouldn't really fit.
Yours are very artistic. It's like a little movie sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the music we write is meant to be cinematic. I mean, everything we do is kind of not everything, but the majority of, like, especially the singles and things, they're fully meant to be, taken that way. They're audio representations of like Aronofsky films or Christopher Nolan films or things like that. It's like these big grandiose schemes and scenes.
Nice.
So it'd be hard to do a song like The Colors of Grace with a bunch of kids beating pinatas or something. So we can't do
that. Yeah, the low riders bouncing doesn't really fit, or To the Sea. But yeah, you guys, I mean, the videos are really, I think, really kind of personal and intimate. That even goes back to the Banished Heart. There's a lot of you and yourselves and your lives in them. That's kind of unique too.
Well, it used to not be. It is now. I mean, it's like I'm still operating out of a function of the late 80s and 90s, when I was a kid, and then the formative years of my musicianship. So, I mean, to me, it's like it looked like that. I miss all of the behind the scenes looks and the internal looks of bands and things like that. So, though it's not coming back anytime soon, it's just kind of the approach is that it's like a miniature movie or candid moments, things like that. So heyday stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of matches what you guys are all about, though. I mean, like you said, I mean, it wouldn't match. And I even said that when the review I wrote of the new album, is that, this was your moment maybe to release your Theater of Pain or your Black album, where, you're a little bit, you guys are kind of dancing around and doing it. But instead, like, no, you kept it serious and real and deep. So, I mean, that I guess that's not really a question, but that seems like that's kind of the Oceans of Slumber way. I mean, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're obviously shifting gears. I mean, things are going to change even from this record to the next. So who knows what that's going to bring? And even though we kept things in a certain way, it's I wouldn't say that the record in any kind of way, it's heavier, if anything else. I believe you said that too. It's heavier, but it wasn't written in any kind of intention to be one way or the other,
Sure.
So by the next record, who knows what's going to happen? It's like dancing further along the lines of mixing metalized Cure songs and Hans Zimmer together. It's like it's more. That's kind of what the. I mean, we've already got demos for the next record, so that's again, we've been sitting on this for finished for 6-7 months. We're
Gotcha.
kind of past this already, and it's we're just now getting a press time, and it's like yeah, we're super excited about it. But it's hard to be so excited about a record that you can't tour for, if that makes any sense. You know?
Sure.
Love the album. Super proud of what it is and what it's, what it come from and where it's going. Yeah, absolutely. But as far as what like the future of everything is, fuck it. It kind of takes the wind out of our sails.
Are you able to do maybe the virtual thing for a show? Because people have been starting doing that now.
Yeah. But coming back around full circle on it, it doesn't fit what we are,
Oh.
We have to do one, not unfortunately, but kind of, we have to do a virtual show. It's kind of expected out of us because nobody gets to see what this is live until we can play live.
Yeah.
So we do have to intro all the songs to them in that way. But we're going to do something different. It has to be different. We're going to do a location style shoot with.
I was just going to say that since you guys are so artistic, I was going to say, why don't you do something out in a location like like you're filming a movie or something? That'd be really cool.
Yeah, we're trying to do something that's kind of everybody's on their little personal space islands type of thing. It's not we'll church like, you know what I mean, to where Cammy can be on a raised something or another, surrounded by multi-level candles, and it's got to be very grand and romantic looking because it's the style of music we play. So so we have to do that, and then we have to figure out how to make all that stuff fucking work and be affordable. And we've got a team of stuff, and we have friends that are there along the way with us, so we can do things. But two of the bandmates live out of town. One's 3 hours from here, the other one's 4 hours from here, so it's just a lot of logistics, timing, and at the same time everybody's got to work and stay afloat,
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
it's a lot of shit. Every band's going through it. We're not unique in that kind of way. We're just trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Sure. And now for the videos, I mean, and for all that stuff, is that kind of all on you, or do you have a crew? Do you have some people who kind of run the cameras and do that stuff for you guys, and even help write it and concepts?
Well, yeah, we have we generally kind of like write everything, and our good friend Chris Warren, that Warren and Brittany Miles, Chris Warren and Brittany Miles, and they do they've done all the videos since Decay of Disregard, and so he's kind of like a working partner that does more work than he can get paid for. It's unfortunate. It sucks, but we break ourselves trying to do this shit, and he goes above and beyond and makes things work. With Return to the Earth Below, we had spent so much money on like just equipment rentals just for the cameras that were used, the underwater fucking hookups and all that shit. It took a whole lot. And it's to us, it was worth it. It was cool. We rented, we have a venue here that we work with, and they helped us out, and have to have lighting techs and all kinds of shit. It's insane. It's pretty insane. But that amount of work, it's a couple of grand on the low end, and then we got to do 4 of those things.
Yeah.
So 4 of those with no income coming in other than what our normal lives are dragging. So, it's the same shit. It's just, if we can't tour, we can't pay bills, and we need a tour, and we're not going to be able to.
Right.
So,
right.
It's not, it's not dire. It's just something to adjust to, because it's, this is what we're dealing with right now. It's like, and from everything that I've heard, it's looking like by summer of next year or later is when they're expecting to open up fully with touring.
That sounds about right. I mean,
and then we're mainly talking about Europe on that. I mean, I know they're trying to do some smaller club stuff next year at the beginning of the year, but expectations are that they'll go back on lockdown too. So pretty intense.
Sure.
I've seen some of the big European festivals started announcing their lineups. Are you on any of those yet?
Well, the problem with those is that they're having to honor contracts from this year.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And so unless there's cancellations in space or availabilities, which, you know, obviously there will be, then we have the opportunity to get on there. The perceptions and it's like, so the record's been received well enough, right? And so if the record is staying in the press and if the streaming numbers and all that stuff works out, well, then all of a sudden, like, there's new interest in what it is that we're doing. So they're like, oh, well, this record's hot and the band's doing well. Let's put them on a festival. And we have a spot. It helps with all of that. But again, we get into a thing how everybody held out to the last minute this year to cancel their festivals. You know, there's a good how do you get 30,000 people to go to a place whenever we're post pandemic?
Yeah.
You know? So it's like if a vaccine comes out, then sure, I guess we all get to go back to, you know, doing whatever we do. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anybody really has the crystal ball and knows, like, oh, yeah, this is how it's going to go from now on. Or sure, everything's going to return to the way it was in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
It's going to be right. I mean, excuse me, it's a fucked up new reality, you know. So.
It's pretty weird. And, you know, the idea with all the virtual stuff, and it's like a one and done thing is what's unfortunate about that. It's like you can't constantly do virtual shows.
Right.
You can do one and then space it out unless you're offering something new, which, you know, we're capable of something like that. We can do a full metal show, like a full release, and then we can turn around and do acoustic shows. We can do what are called reduction shows, which would be like me playing particular songs, just doing a piano reduction version of them and having Cammy sing. You know, luckily we have the versatility to do things like that, but do we have the want to do things like that? Not so much. You know, that's with us maintaining full-time jobs, it's, you know, finding the energy to be creative in a space that doesn't feel that creative is kind of hard.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, you know, it's this is art stuff to us. This isn't like, you know, get together with your buddies and like, oh, we're having a good time and jam and let's do a live feed and this will be so cool. It's you know, it's like, what's the fucking point? And it's like the defeatist outlook is what feeds so many songs, even though we're positively making music. So it's kind of fucked up.
Well, and these aren't Ramon songs either. You can't be like, hey, just pick up your guitar and let's play. Like these songs, you know, like, I mean, you guys are pros, but, you know, if Rich and I were saying that, kind of like, hey, let's learn some ocean songs and jam them, it would take us forever. So, I mean, yeah, it takes a level of focus. Right. I get that too. Well, I was going to ask.
Well, also to add to that, though, think about somebody like Cammy who would have to muster a performance like that and then to not have any fuel for it. And there would be nothing to, you know, it's like if she really doesn't appreciate or like the idea of doing a filmed virtual show, then I would rather not put her out there like that, and she would rather not be out there like that, just kind of going through the motions. You know, it's dishonest. It feels bad. So that's what that is.
Yeah, I get that completely. I was going to bring up you guys did the living room show, which sounded great. I don't know if you got a good reception to that, if everyone kind of thought that was fun.
Yeah, you know, you know, it's like in that evening, I think it did like 10,000 views or some shit, which I guess is all right. But, you know, that's like, that was at the beginning of this. So
yeah,
we're so far into it now that it's like, fuck this is terrible. Fucking die. Everything's horrible. And you know, I mean, honestly, that's kind of what it is. It's trying to find new. We're writing new music already. You know, we're working on multiple things. I've already tracked 2 full-length records since the pandemic started. Basically, you know, the new Malignant Altar record and the new Necrofire record, like 2 full-length albums. And so they're in the process of one's finished completely, the Malignant Altar, and it comes out sometime at the end of the year. And then the Necrofire is the same, you know, it's about to go to mastering and we're shopping it around and seeing what's going to happen with it. You know, it takes that kind of work. If I'm not busy and writing music, then I'm like kind of going crazy and, you know, jump off a bridge or something. So
Yeah, you touched on a bunch of stuff that I want to ask about, but Rich, I don't know. I want to step on you if you got anything you wanted to bring up.
Well, you mentioned the streams before. Since people have been home, has your streams and people listening to your music gone up because people are home?
Kind of. We did really well with the first single, and then we've done really well with physical sales. But the streaming is kind of plateaued in a way that they weren't really expecting. So we're trying to find out what's going on with that. Like a focus might be in the wrong place, or something's happening to where we're not getting in front of the people that we need to get in front of. Because simple metrics would show you, it's like if we have a disapproval rate video wise of like 1% or something, then that's good. It's super good. And if the 99% of all comments are organic and not paid for, and they're all good comments, and we have a lot of comments, there's a lot of metrics there that they work to say, like, streaming should be at this number.
Right.
And some of the streaming is not, it's like so something's happened with that, but our physical sales have gone up and they're better than they've ever been. So, the people are there. It's just, during this, what are people looking for? Are they looking for more aggressive music? We are in America, and we all know that, like, most American people are wanting to hear testament or derivative type of aggressive music, and I say that for age groups. Like, we're all older, and if you think about what most people consider, metal, it's going to be in the big four, right? And then below that would be the Panteras and so on and so forth. And it's a constant that I'm used to seeing with operating on this side of the fence in metal. I've done extreme metal my whole life, and now that I've been doing this, you see that people want more snarling, melodic metal, and the American thing is that some Avenged Sevenfold and down. The thrash movement's getting way bigger here, but it's like thrash has always been kind of perpetuated by American audiences. They eat the shit up. We're not a thrash band, so it's like our marketing has to either focus on the proper audiences here in the U.S., or we have to stay in Europe for the most part. Europe, Canada, South America, everything minus the North America. And so streaming. I just had a meeting last night at fucking 2:00 in the morning about this with the main guy, and he's like, streaming is good, but it's not as good as it could be. And so we're basically trying to get to the bottom of what the proper concoction is to make that happen.
What other bands come up when someone puts in Oceans of Slumber? What's like associated bands usually?
Well, this is what's complicated about it, because if how much would you say that we sound like a band like Epica?
A little bit.
A little, but for what reasons? It's like
I wouldn't say as much as Epica. I kind of associate with a little bit of Opeth,
right.
but also a little bit of Evergrey, if you know them.
Yes, of course I know. That was one of my favorite bands in the world.
So I kind of find you somewhere in that, between the two of those.
So that's where we exist fully in that realm. So it's like, let's say that we're in that spectrum of Catatonia to Opeth to Evergrey, big time Evergrey, Paradise Lost, and off into some closer to mainstream stuff. Anathema, you know what I mean?
Yes. Sure.
We can strike Anathema off that list because Lee is one of the singers, and she's a she. So then we're talking about that we fit in with bands that primarily have male vocalists. So we've had an impossible time breaking into the audiences of these bands that we just mentioned, right?
Huh.
And so yes, exactly. And so our biggest, because there's a stigma, and the stigma exists truly, and it's like a thing to where we almost entirely have to focus ourselves on Within Temptation and Epica and bands that we don't have really anything to do with, other than the fact the gender of our vocalist.
Yeah.
And that's how this thing works, and we've spent a long time trying to distinguish ourselves and be this thing in a boys club. And as much as we want to fight it, it's like we can't fight it. So that's what we're trying to figure out. It's like, how do we comfortably cross over into something that we don't really fit into other than Cammy, you know?
Sure.
And so that's where that's at. And so if we talk about who we think we fit in with, we're wrong. That's what's fucked up.
Right, in the category, yeah, totally. And plus, I would even say, like, outside of metal, I definitely hear a little bit of Nick Cave, a little bit of, you know, maybe even, I'll stretch a little bit, maybe even some Tom Waits, but, you know, a lot of, like, core audiences for those guys are going to be like, oh, I don't know, they're growling, I don't know about that. So, I mean, that's another thing. You got to kind of win people over a little bit with, you know, with the heavier music. So I get, that's got to be a challenge too, when you know, a lot, when you guys cross over that much.
We had a booking agent, and, you know, our plan is I had a booking agent ask, like, who do you want to tour with? And I was like, you know, what's the dream tour? And I said, I don't want to tour with anybody. Like, I want my own crowd. Like, I want a Nick Cave audience, which my words exactly. I'm a huge Nick Cave fan, by the way. It's like, I want a big stage that's just ours, and then there's a dedicated audience, and it's not necessarily anybody opening or we're opening for anybody. You know, I want it to be a production. I want it to be all these things. So, you know, that is what we're shooting for, and it doesn't have to be extreme metal. It doesn't have to be any of that stuff. You know, the extreme metal parts just come out because they come out. The next record could come out and not have a single drop of it, and that's fine with me. It's because that's how it's written. Like, whatever happens, happens. This record was the same way. You know, it was just all like, hey, we feel jazzed up. Let's play something intense. But it fit too. You know, it's like that song was about pre-existing social issues, or both songs were. One is introspective, one's outwardly. So it's, you know, it's weird. We're in a weird spot. You know, we're not a weird band, but apparently we're weird to people.
Yeah, I was going to drop. I was also going to say. Hey, I was also going to say, Draconian's a band that you guys have. You guys aren't exactly alike. It's not like you're identical, but
Right.
you know, pretty female vocals, along with some growls and some doom and some intensity. So that's another one. But yeah, I think they have the same issue where, you know, people are like, I don't know what to do with you guys with the.
But
with
they're 100% doom metal.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing.
And so they do fit into that. We just also play doom sometimes. Right. So
I might have a solution for you. I don't know if you ever played the festival, but have you ever played Prog Power in Atlanta?
Yeah, we played there in 2018.
Oh, okay. So, and that, you guys must have gone over well with that crowd, right?
We were considered the dark horse of the show.
And did you win over?
We did well, but it was one of those things to where when we got off stage, it was like a friend of mine, you know, friends that were part of the festival. And so, like, it's so awesome to see all these people, like, kind of writhe around in their seats because, you know, our whole set is all dark, sad, you know, dark music, like fully dark. And Prog Power is a lot of fun. You know, people are there to have fun and all that good stuff. But yeah, we were at the end of that fest. You know, they've got contributors and people that are part of the sponsors and all that stuff. We spent a lot of time with a handful of the sponsors who were just like quizzing us, and we had no idea, you know, because we replaced King Crow on the festival. And it was like, you know, you guys aren't the typical type of music that we listen to. And we generally listen to like noodly prog metal, and we don't listen to stuff like this. So it's just like really trippy. And we played.
But then again, Evergrace played the festival though several times.
And that's what's so. Then what is the change? What's the change in the dynamic then? You know,
right?
Is it because Evergrace's first 3 records? Probably, you know, because they did In Search of Truth in its entirety multiple years ago, and you know, if I, you know, Tom and I are pretty good friends. You know, we talk about this stuff all the time. The shift that they've made has made them more popular, but has also like ostracized them in ways because they're not playing technical, you know, odd time, you know, progressive metal anymore. They're playing like this big open style of of metal mixed with like cinematic metal, and it's Tom's voice. I know more people than I don't that hate Tom's voice, and I hate those people. So
You got a great voice.
Yeah, he does.
Shit out of me. It's stupid.
Yeah, you should have him do a guest vocal one of these days. No, but you know, like, you know, we talked about Opeth. They've absolutely gone through that too. I mean, but I mean, when you go to an Opeth show, and actually when I saw you guys, the fans are there singing along to every song, whether it's a ballad, whether it's super heavy and aggressive. So I think it's there.
Right.
You know, it's just a matter of you know, people need, like, it took Opeth a long time to kind of break through. It took people a long time to get it. So I think that's kind of what it is. But I mean, again, you guys have some giant people in your corner. I mean, like Metal Asylum, of course, but you know, like I've seen like Michael Alago's a big deal. The guy who signed Metallica. So you guys have. So I fully believe in you know, you guys. That's why I wasn't just blowing smoke up your ass. I truly think you guys are going to own this year, especially when this album is out and people are kind of getting into it.
You know, I hope so. I don't expect it. You know, it's like, you know, I know the record's good. I feel it is a good record. I've listened to it. I have ears. It's like, I know that it's a good record. That doesn't mean a lot anymore. You know what I mean? It takes the whole fucking, the whole show. You have to have a good record. You have to have, you know, a good PR, good publicist, good. I mean, we have a good publicist, a really good publicist. A team that is good makes a bad record good. You know, a team that is good makes a great record amazing. So if we have a good record, and it seems that we do, and we're getting, you know, hell, we're obviously going to get some bad reviews because we have very biased critics out there. There are people that are always going to get a hold of us and be like, you know, there's a fucking chick singing, or what is all this emotional nonsense? Because we've had them throughout the years. And I remember reading a Steven Wilson interview, and to where he said that he just had stopped reading press or looking online, like on YouTube videos and shit. And he said the reason why is because sat right beside each other is a person who says that this is the greatest song you've ever written. And then to their back is a person that says this is the worst song you've ever written. And in this universe, you exist simultaneously. And it's like, we, you know, part of being an artist or musicians and artists, and you put your work out there, is for people to love it or rip it to shreds, which is, you know, that's fine. But let's say the record is going well, and let's say that, you know, we've got like a 7 out of 7 in Metal Hammer Journey. Apparently they don't do that often at all, which is incredible. 9 out of 10 in Metal Hammer UK, 7 out of 7 Metallian. Like, you know, it's doing really fucking good, and we're proud of that. But does that increase streaming numbers? No. You know, do record labels look at streaming numbers? Yeah. Does it increase physical products? Yeah, because it's most people buying magazines are of a different type of consumer, obviously.
Sure.
So it all matters. It's just, in what ways does it matter? You know, do we go down in flames as some critically acclaimed band who hung it up the year before we were supposed to? That's the gamble. That's the aspect of what this is. Like, at some point you just get beat down, or you just get to where you're like, I don't fucking care. Nobody wants this. And then the next roll of the dice was going to be the one that you explode on. And so, and that's how I feel with this whole thing. Like, the whole thing is a fucking gamble. It's like, do I stick it out? Do we stick it out? Or do we keep running in the fucking doors and say, fuck this? This is like fucking crazy.
Right. You don't want to be metal, like a metal Elliott Smith. That's what you don't want to be. Yeah. But go ahead, Rich. Sorry.
You get XM radio where you are?
I do.
Do you guys get airplay on that? Because they have like 3 or 4 metal channels. Have you been submitted to that? Do you know?
We have we have a company that services our stuff. I don't know any of the super details of it, but what I do know is that Ian Christie plays Solitude, I think, on there all the time, or Nights in White Satin, one of the two. Plays our cover song, and that's the only play we've had on XM. And so, even with the Colors of Grace, that was the radio song. It's all like, let's push this one, let's get on Octane, let's get on one of these channels and push the Colors of Grace, because it's a big, beautiful, like, alternative sounding song. Like, let's go with this. And from what I can tell, no, hasn't happened. You know, and it's everybody we work with works with a lot of these people. You know, there's a lot of hands shaking. There's a lot of, you know, it's all networking. And if we're
Yeah.
within the network, then we should be getting pushed within the network. And sometimes it just doesn't work.
Mhm.
So hey, if you're watching this live, we're on with Dobber Beverly of Oceans of Slumber, and actually like 45 other bands too. But we're talking about the new Oceans of Slumber. But yeah, I mean, I do want to also bring up one of the other major things you guys have going for you is you have this amazing voice, this beautiful woman who's your front woman who's I think she's just like got star power all over her. I mean, that's got I don't know what. And I know she's been doing interviews like mad too. I mean, I think you must have reactions, to her and all that star power. And I know this is something you can comment on for sure because you see her every night on stage.
Well, she, I think that's where a lot of the dissent came in with the changes within Oceans. Whenever she joined the band, it was kind of like a refocus of what was what. So when she got here and it was like, okay, this is our singer now. We're not just some wacky, capable, technical band like we were on our very first record, Ethereal. We have the abilities to do something bigger and be something bigger. So then we started moving into a realm of where, Cammy, we have to write songs for our vocalist now. We don't write songs for ourselves and then put our vocalist over them. And the ex-bandmates, a few of them had issues with that because it's, they wanted to be focal points and, rightly so. There's egos everywhere. Like, everybody's got ego. And what's the saying? There's nothing wrong with an ego as long as I don't have to feed it,
Sure.
And so if you have an ego and you come into a band, fine, as long as you get the job done, that's amazing because that's what you want. You want that kind of confidence and that ability. If you have an ego that I have to constantly babysit or somebody else has to babysit, then you don't want that because it's a job then. And it's not worth it, So we started moving further and further into we have to write these songs to profile her. We have to write these songs to fit Cammy. Like we can't just do this for the fuck of it, not to try to show off. So personal stuff, finances, touring, personal shit within the band. We lost the 2 guitar players and the bass player, all separate incidents, of course. Then we restocked, it was like, it was never really an option of, we were never going to stop playing the band. It was Cammy and I, the band was always Cammy and I. I wrote a good deal of the material, up until now. Like with Winter, I wrote a third of the record. With Banished, I wrote half of the record or a third. It's like the breakdowns were the same, and we all kind of worked together. With this record, I wrote the 85% of the album, something along those lines. But where the magic comes in is what the bandmates, the new guys, bring. Zan and Jesse, the 2 guitar players, and Samir. If I wrote the bones of a song, it would be them that would dress it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like it takes that last 5% for magic. It's just like racing cars or doing anything else. It's like all the magic's in the last 5%, and that's where the money's at. So, the proof's in the pudding. Like, now we have a record that does hit spots the way that it's supposed to. We have a record that does have all of these elements, and we're proud of it. It shows, but we've done our part. We have to see if the rest of the world's going to do theirs, and kind of go from there. That's pretty much what it's at. It's not easy, It's obviously, you can tell. Like we talk about that a lot. It's just not easy. We're in different territories than a lot of bands are.
Right.
Malignant Altar is instant, sold out of all the merchandise fucking 5 or 6 times, pressings. The record automatically gets picked up. It's going to fucking do really well when it comes out. It's death metal. People eat that shit up. It goes wild. I'm from that world. I've been in that constantly. I know how easy it is. You get in a band like Oceans of Slumber, we have a higher profile, higher debt to income ratio, and everything looks bigger and prettier. It's just, it's not as accepted, and it's like you're force feeding somebody something new. We're going to get there. I hope, that or die trying. We might die in a hurricane tonight, but who knows?
Yeah. Batten down. But yeah, well, I mean, and this seems like a good time to bring up. Why don't you, if you don't mind, just talk about, so you got Malignant Altar, and I think you talked about you have some other stuff in the works. Like you have some some other projects that you guys are kind of working on that are maybe not even metal. Talk about just all the things you have going, all the different plates you have spinning.
Well, right now, what do we have? We have I've been doing like production work for stuff. I'm also a recording engineer. I just don't work in a studio anymore. I have it all so I can do the shit myself. So it's like the ocean stuff. I track all the shit minus the drums, things I need physical space for. So we go to a studio and, friends that work and incredible engineer friends. So we all get together and have a great time. But the Malignant Altar is a death metal band I have with my former guitar player bandmate from Insect Warfare. It's like full 90s Texas style death metal. So evil, fast, slow, all the normal shit. And I think the record's coming out on Dark Descent sometime at the end of the year. Necrofire is full, like bottom heavy black metal, kind of like a mixture between early Dissection and Necrophobic, but mixed with a few other elements. Cammy does guest vocals on that, by the way. So it's really cool. It's like, some Dead Can Dance moments in the middle of like this heavy melodic black metal.
Nice.
That, and then Cammy and I have another project together that's going to see the light of day pretty soon, and it's called Genoa, and it is the best way that I've found to relay this to people, and it's like Depeche Mode and Portishead meets Johnny Cash. So
yeah.
it's if you like the new Ulver music, you'll like Genoa. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it's different. It's obviously not Oceans. It's like the other side of things for both of us. And so we don't know when that's coming out. It's finished. Everything's done. It has to go to mastering, and it's we haven't even announced the label we're on right now. But times are tough. It's a weird. It's almost like catastrophic to fucking release a record you want to focus on, unless you're on a big label. We're on a big label with Oceans. All the other stuff's not really on a big label.
And so, Dobber, how do you personally? I know you've got family, you got day jobs you talked about, and all these different bands. How do you kind of keep it all in check in your head? Like, how do you do all this without kind of being raving in the corner? Like, how do you kind of keep it all together?
Well, that's the $10 million question, because it actually almost kills everybody around me. Things are like written and everything is at such a frantically controlled pace around me. I get so much done in the 50% of time that I don't have my daughter with me. It's like, so I focus every moment. If I'm at work, in my head, the entirety of the work day is I'm thinking about all these things, because my job is like second nature to me, so I don't care. It's like I don't have to sit there and like fucking stare at it. I listen to records constantly. I watch a lot of fucking movies and documentaries, things like that for visual stimulation, obviously. And then we read a lot. I read a whole lot. And between all that, I've also spent the past 25 years of my fucking life being a fucking musician and a fairly well educated musician. So since I can play the guitar good, and I can play the piano good, and I can drum good, I can come up with shit good, easy. It's fast,
Yeah.
I'm also, it's so old school for me in the outlook. It's like commit it. You know what I mean? If I can't finish out a song in a day or two, then I fucking scrap it. It goes into a folder, and then I pick it apart later or something. It's literally how it works. Return to the Earth Below was written in like 3 hours, like the entire song, orchestration, everything.
Wow. But again, this is not a Ramones song. These are songs that have parts and a lot of layers. So that's pretty goddamn impressive that you get all that done.
The song's obviously not that complicated until the end. When it gets to the end, the voicings and stuff and the layerings. But like the melodic structure and all that shit, it's complicated enough. But once the ball gets rolling, it's pretty fucking rapid, which is cool. I enjoy that. But I work at that pace, and so when I work with other people, they have to work at that pace too. And so either punishes them or it pushes them a whole lot, you know. And I generally tend to not work with musicians that can't perform in that kind of way, you know. There's a lost art of improvisation or having like a melodic ear for things, and you know, you need to have that. It's amazing, you know.
Yeah.
If somebody was forced out on stage with a guitar and a reverb pedal or something, and then they're like, "Well, I can only play my songs," it's a lot different than somebody that can go out there and entertain somebody for 10 minutes because the stage broke down or something, you know.
Right.
And so, you know, it's like having that type of availability in vocabulary is paramount. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah, and you know, I'll just bring it back to the record. I mean, a lot of the leads on the record sound really organic. Doesn't sound like you sat down and wrote every note, or you know that your guitar players sat down and wrote every note. So it sounds like that. I hear it on the record for sure.
The stuff that Jesse did 100% was kind of like under the microscope then and there. Though, you know, it was like we went through a thing and he was bitching at me the whole time, and you know, because I like tracked them, like they're right here behind me, you know. I tracked everything in my little house. The lead for the end of Adorned Fathomless Creation, the death metal lead, Zan sat down and mapped out, but he just brought it to me. And you know, he tracked it here or he tracked it at the studio, one of the two. But he's mechanical in that way, and then Jesse, our guitar player singer, is not. Jesse, the guitar player singer, is more along my lines. He's somebody that can kind of like go with the flow, and it gives it there's a live energy to that, man. When we first started touring together, I told him to watch Neurosis videos. I was like, watch Neurosis live, and that's what I want you to look like, you know. I want you to be completely immersed in what this is that we do, and don't feel embarrassed about just going off. And he's already a very physical player and looking anyways. And so he just ate it up, you know. It's like building these feedback loops and things like that actually make a show magical versus plugging a laptop into a console and playing to a click track, you know. And it's like,
right.
The danger of not having a safety net is what I enjoy the most about bands. So when I go see somebody that's there's a technical proficiency that's amazing of bands that play to clicks and backing tracks. Sure, you know, some of my favorite bands do that same thing, but I'm not getting anything new out of it. You know, there's not a lot they can deviate from the record. So if I wanted to just go hear the record live, I would listen to the record. If I want to go see a band for the magical elements that they are, you know, you go see shit, old school people, you know, John Oliva's Pain, that type of stuff. You know, when you listen to somebody like that, and you know, you're like, you're a pro, and you've got a night, and I caught you on a night, and this night was incredible, and you know, that's what I want out of shows. So that's the kind of show that we run, expectation-wise.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and again, bring it back to Cammie Gilbert. I mean, you know, the emotion that she puts in every performance. I see where you mentioned earlier you don't want her to just have to kind of phone it in, because I mean, the show I saw, and you know, and you guys were telling me stories about it. You know, she leaves nothing. You know, she leaves everything comes out on the stage, and that's a rare thing. Because you're right, a lot of people just phone it in. So that is. I'm agreeing with you. That's completely vital. I think
it is, and you know, I get to see firsthand all the time. I get to see the emotional impact of that, and I think, you know, a lot of that is there's a lot of indifference and things like that with people, and then you have people that come to shows that are incredibly empathetic, you know. And when you watch or see something truly magical, that's like that waters your eye up, you know what I mean? You ever went and seen a fucking show and like the show just caught you off guard and you're like, oh goddamn, like what the fuck, dude? Like, you know, I've bands Anathema and certain Pain of Salvation shows, and there's been many shows to where I've been sitting there like completely fucking awestruck, blown away. And she performs like that at every show, you know. So we, you know, almost every place that we go play a show, there's some crying-eyed fan that comes up afterwards. There's multiple people crying, you know, in the audience and stuff. But it's because we're singing about we're playing songs that aren't different than what they've gone through. You know, speaking of the devil, she's right. She just walked behind me.
There's the cameo appearance.
She or we, you know, we're it's the thing that we had to cover all the time with interviews. It's like we're emptying our bag out. That's the kind of music that we're making. Like all these songs come from issues and places and perspectives, and the sadness is real sadness. It's not somebody else's. It's not some perceived fiction. It's not any of this stuff. These are all like super fucking personal songs. So when we go out and play these things, you know, it takes 100 shows for it to stop being so personal to where you can just kind of enjoy it. But then you'll play a show number 200 to where you've been fucking fine, and then you see this like some kid or some grown fucking man, and you know, bawling their fucking eyes out, and it fucks you up. You know, you're trying to get to a good song, and then you'll get to the end of the goddamn show, and it's a thing. It's like, you know, my wife died fucking 3 months ago, or I listen to this song every fucking day, or I've been listening to this song for 5 years, and you're just like, oh, dude, you know, you like just ruined my whole fucking night. Thank you, like in a good way, but you know, it's like the connection to what it is that we make is that, and it's you know, that's the whole purpose in doing it. So when we're talking at the beginning of the show about this hopeless future that we're into, that's because of what the music that we're making means to us, you know. So we can't phone it in. We can't just go have some bullshit show and some live stream where people are like, oh, look at them, they're having a great time, and it's fucking terrible.
Okay, so Rich, yeah, go for it, man.
What kind of metal shows do you like to go see bands that are outside of the stuff that you do?
What? Friends bands.
No, just it could be friends bands or just big bands.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I go and see friends bands. You know, where we're at in Houston, we don't get a whole lot. We're in a shitty market now. We just have such a bad rapport. The last few shows that we even went to, it's like, you know, the Finnish guys come through. We always go hang out with them. Mm-hmm. You know, Amorphous and Annika came through when she was doing her acoustic tour with them, and you know, those are friends, you know, and also peers, and also people that we look up to highly. So you know, we go and do that. Chelsea Wolfe, you know, I go watch stuff like that. I go watch things like kind of left of center to what we do. Otherwise, it's you know, it's like I'm not burned out on live music. I'm just burned out on what's like available. Because you know, when you go do festivals and shit, and there's 75 fucking bands there, and you go try to take them all in, and then like, how do you? Something's got to be really fucking amazing to beat that. You know, we set side stage like right beside Rotting Christ in the Czech Republic last summer. Oh,
wow. And
then hung out and ate dinner with them and shit. And it was fucking amazing. You know, it was absolutely amazing. It's like, yeah, this is the shit. We set side stage for Mgla. Who else? Anathema, things like that. You know, we go see Nightwish and stuff, but it's because of links to them, you know.
Yeah.
Kai from Nightwish used to play in Rotten Sound. Rotten Sound's a really famous grindcore band. That's where Kai pretty much came from. Kai Hato, their drummer. Floor is she and Hannes Van Dahl are together, and you know, they have a family together. And Hannes is a pretty good friend of mine. You know, so we go. It's, you know, they're like industry things. You know, there are bands that I'd like to see that are coming up that are new. I don't get to. I went to go see Rivers of Nihil. Them Ancients, you know, whenever they play occasionally. It's been a little while for them. And then you know, I'm more interested in seeing intimate things, singer-songwriter stuff, piano recitals, things like that. Things that are like really kind of churn my gears. And so what was the last show we saw? We just talked about this. Oh, Devin Townsend, when he did his new project with
the The
like
empath. Yeah.
Morgan Agron and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went and saw that. I'm not the hugest Devin Townsend fan. He has songs that are fucking absolutely incredible and over the top to me. But he's also a silly guy, and I just don't do a lot of silly metal. He can't help it. He's amazing at what he does, and he's a fucking brilliant musician.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we went and watched that, and whoever the hell opened for him, I forgot who it was. I try to do. I'm looking for things that inspire me, or they're friends of mine, and I want to go say hi and do that kind of thing. The Winery Dogs, shit like that. I'll go watch them. But I love Richie Kotzen, and so.
Yeah, that's great. And I noticed when you put shit out on Facebook, you'll put out like these incredible soul singers and these incredible performances, and it's nothing nowhere near the metal world, but it always, like, usually when I have a minute and I click on it and I follow the links that you put out there, like the stuff that you just share with the world, I'm usually blown away. Like, so I can see that that you have the tastes are more eclectic, that you put out the stuff that, like I said, I get it.
It all makes sense though. It's all the same. Like, take tempo markers. I mean, that's my biggest one from when I was a kid. Look at 80s country ballads, and if we look at the tempos and the layouts of them, they're doom metal songs, right? They're doom metal songs with steel guitars and strings all over them. Look at Motown. Look at all of these things, and that's what eventually got me to where I was. I didn't understand why we weren't incorporating these elements. These incredibly dense modulating chords from Stevie Wonder and Luther Vandross and all that stuff, like very, very intense voicings, like things that you just don't hear in metal because it's beyond the pay grade. You hear it in some technical instrumental shit because they have to have all these, the modulations and stuff to keep things interesting. And so, then I was like, why in the fuck aren't there any more black people fucking singing in bands? Like, if I love soul music and I love gospel, I love gospel singers and Motown and all that. I'm all like, Jesus Christ, like what would happen if one of these guys sang in a fucking band? It would explode,
Right.
But then come to find out that there's a gatekeeping element to this. And it's like Tom England from Evergrey. Tom England's very much a blue-eyed soul singer. He's a white soul singer, and he's amazing at what he does. And there's a gatekeeper there for all that. There's a contingency of folks that say, like, that doesn't belong here. You sing too well, or whatever the fuck it is.
Wow. And
so for me, it was that. It's like I heard R&B, and I'm like, damn, this shit's like heavy. It just doesn't have heavy guitars. It's moody. They're just talking about love. It's like, fuck, this is badass. And then then I'm looking around like, I ain't hearing this shit. Like, this is bad. Like, get that dude in a fucking band. This would be the shit. Or get that woman in a band. This is. And so whenever Cammie said that she was, she's like, she was in the, what was the band? Coheed and Cambria and stuff like that. She listened to alt stuff she didn't know that was kind of like proggy. And she liked Soundgarden and all that shit. And I'm all like, dude, do you want to sing in a metal band? She's like, yes, absolutely. And so I was like, here we go. Let's try it out, man. Let's see what it looks like to have you in a Opeth style band, especially in our beginning years. Like, we're mixing all these elements of blues and clean music with melodic and death metal. Hopefully it works,
But I like, you guys thread it all together, but it's not a gimmick. It's not like, hey, we're Smokey Robinson in front of Slayer. Like, no, it's all integrated too seamlessly. Right. I think that's, maybe that hurts your attention a little bit, because if it was more of a gimmick, then people could be like, hey, check it out, it's Aretha. But
I don't know if you watch the Punk Rock MBA podcast, but Finn McKenty talked about that exact thing. He said, he was like, metal is rails against gimmicks, and it's the most gimmicked music in the fucking world, and he, like, all these everything from baby metal to Amon Amarth and everything else. They're like you guys don't see these things as gimmicks per se, but these are gimmicks. These are costumes, these are ways of these are marketing tools, and they're working. You know, I wish we were. I wish we had the success of a gimmick happening, but I ain't wearing no fucking pirate costume. You know.
Hey, Dobber, please don't mention baby metal around Rich. His blood's gonna boil.
Yeah, my head. If it could be, I got an image. I have it all blown up against my back wall right now.
You like baby metal or you dislike?
God awful. God awful. It's the one gimmick that should have never been.
I'm definitely not I'm not a fan of baby metal, but I also don't condemn. I don't care. You know, fuck, I don't care. I know what the Terry Bozzio's daughter's in one of these Japanese metal bands. And she's like a fucking badass drummer, like legitimately it's Terry Bozzio's daughter, you know?
Yeah.
And then you're just like, wow, you're in a fucking J metal band. Like, and it's all these little pretty 16-year-old Asian, you know, girls in dresses and they're doing the thing and like you all shred and it's sickening, you know, because you know it's a piece together, not to condemn them, but it's like this piece together conglomeration of this is not real. Maybe the songs are written for them, a multitude of things, you know. It's dishonest. It's dishonest as fuck, you know.
Yeah, it's a gimmick. It's just a gimmick to make money. It won't last. It'll disappear.
Yeah, man. I try to keep myself aligned with things. You know, when I was younger, it was like if I didn't like it, I fucking hated it, and I would go on and on about the stuff. And then I got older, and it's all like, you know, everybody's got their own taste with stuff, and I tried to, you know, I'd keep it down a little bit. And it was the same thing, you know, with baby metal. You know, you see people that you idolize, like Rob Halford and stuff coming out, and they're like, oh, you know, baby metal, I think it's brilliant. And I'm like, I don't, you know, they're succeeding and they're bringing it forward. The guard is changing, you know, what's successful and huge is going to turn into something that, you know, we're not used to because we come from a different spot. It's, you know, it's like what you see now, like Metallica is, you know, on the way away. Avenged Sevenfold, Five Finger Death Punch, and all that stuff is like the new dynamic. You know, there's Slipknot. I don't like Slipknot. I personally don't like Slipknot whatsoever. I've never found a Slipknot song I liked. Am I glad they're doing stadium tours? Sure, I guess. It's not my thing. Five Finger Death Punch. Like, no, I don't like Five Finger Death Punch at all. Like, that's like Monster Energy Can as a band.
I agree.
Yes.
But they're carrying the fucking torch. So what do? You know, we can't condemn ourselves. You know, I don't buy their music. I don't support them.
Well, the good thing is,
do what?
The good thing is the European festivals though have such a variety that they have the other options of the other bands that are out there that are also as big. They're just not as, you know, commercial and marketed in America as those bands. So there's what I would personally say is there's other better options.
Well,
yeah, I was gonna say they could be a gateway too. That's what I was gonna say.
They can, and that's what's cool about it. It's like that's why I don't, you know, I'm like, I don't understand it, but it's something, and it could be a gateway. And number two is that it's what we get fed here in the States.
That's the problem. People are getting fed instead of getting a choice, instead of thinking for themselves.
So those other options of bands, they can't make it here because the average American listener is not going to take it. Which circles around to what we were saying, what I was talking about in the beginning. You know, with us, it's like the average American listener is looking for something angsty in a certain way, and it's not a emotive, melodic, moody metal band with a black chick singing.
Right.
So it's like that's the battle that we fight all the time. Like, how do we get that audience to build? I mean, a band like Within Temptation that plays, you know, 10, 15,000 people in Europe, they go to New York City and play to 400 people. That just shows you the differences in, you know, the popularity, the breadth difference between the two. You know, it's a puzzle to figure out. That's all it is.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm going to say, just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you know, it's easy for me to say that from the outside, but you know, I think you guys are nailing it. You know, album after album. So
thank you, man. We need encouragement. You know, it's like we reading the stuff and doing the stuff. I mean, it's all cool, but it's like, you know, when we came through Arizona, like, you know, when we meet with people in person, there's people that we click with on an individual basis, and then there's people who are just part of the the audience of it. And so when we met in Arizona, it was like, yeah, this is cool and similar things. We can talk about these things, and I have industry friends like this in a bunch of places, so whenever, that's what I'm saying, whenever bands are touring or we're touring, that's who you meet up with. As you climb the little fucking ladder, you enter into other rooms, and every one of these rooms you lose a few people that you were with, you know what I mean? And then when you get to the next one, you make a few new friends, but the pool gets even smaller. And then the people that you had are you're still just dropping off constantly. So then we have a very small circle of people that are like in our professional network, because we're not making a bunch of money off the band. We don't have so much success that we have any kind of paparazzi shit going on. And number two, everybody else that's trying to make it has they have plenty of things to say about a band like us. It's a dog eat dog world out there, and so we have to fight both sides of it. Every band has to fight both sides of it that's making it. If you see a band on tour, or you have seen a band on tour that's like at our level of doing stuff, just know that they're like constantly eating shit trying to make it. That's all it is. And they're going broke doing it. They're fucking sleeping in vans, or sleeping on the side of the road. They're fucking trying to live off of catering left over from the headliners. Like, that's a fucking real thing, especially in the US. You show up and there's 6 waters and there's 7 people in your van, and that's what you get for the day for hospitality. A sack of chips maybe, and then there's no money from the budgets from the headliners. There's like, it's a lot of stuff bands have to go through. Yeah. So I feel for bands that have to tour. It's a fucking intense life. Just to maybe make it, or maybe make something that looks like making it.
Yeah, so kids, go out and join a band.
Yeah, go fucking join a band. Find out how fucking amazing that is.
But I mean, it's for the love for the music. I mean, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I mean, that's to me, that's what it's.
Yeah, it's absolutely what it is. It's just everybody's fighting to find identities and uniqueness. So we're just in the same. We're doing it individually and also as an artistic entity. So, it's cool. It's amazing. What can I can't be so disparaging. Like, I have to acknowledge what it is. I'm in a very fortunate situation. I really am. But on the flip side of it, it's all like,
No, we get it. Well, I don't get it because I haven't been there, but no, I hear what you're saying. I got to say, we're a little bit over time, but we cannot leave this call. I'll tell a really quick story about the show I saw. I was talking to a friend of Dobber's at the show, and he's like, you know what? And this is Neil Peart was still with us. He said, you know what? Neil Peart can't even play the stuff Dobber can play. So we got to talk to. So one of the most amazing drummers I've ever seen also plays on a kit that my 2-year-old daughter has a drum set that's about the same size. It's like, you got like not many pieces, so you do so much. So let's geek out a little bit about just the level of drumming, because again, that is off the charts. So we have to talk about that. We can't let you go without touching on that.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Definitely not. Neil was he was the professor for a reason, and
sure,
he's an absolute guide. Actually, I have to write like some little short piece about in remembrance thing that Metal Hammer's doing for him. It's like, it's so amazing to see mainstream big metal publications still trying to grasp what that was. That was just at the beginning of this year. So, and then on the flip side of that, there's also the Sean Reinert, which is equally as more amazing to me. I love Neil. But Sean Reinert was like that. That's like my dude. I grew up with that shit, and that's like who I wanted to be before I even played drums. So him dying was an absolute shock. Neil dying made me go through the billions and billions of hours and songs that I loved by Rush. But my 2 favorite Rush songs in the fucking world were Subdivisions and Nobody's Hero. There was something about that song that I thought was fucking quite spectacular. It's like this big open 6/8 type thing that it does. It's like it almost reminds me. Well, if you're talking about geeking out, so we'll geek out here. Nobody's Hero has the same feel and pocket that the Downeaster Alexa by Billy Joel has, and that drummer Liberty DeVito was one of these guys. His snare hand was like, from the top of the fucking roof, like he hit so fucking hard. And it's that feel. It's like dun 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 dun. And so Nobody's Hero did that same thing, and it gave you that same kind of swing vibe. It was an incredible song. I don't know if you're really familiar with it or not.
I'm a huge Rush fan, but I'm drawing a blank. What album was that on?
Oh God, mid '80s. It's one of their hits. It's like one of the singles off that particular record.
It wasn't Presto, right?
Hero.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I
Look it up.
Like when it came to drumming, I didn't really come from a bunch of that though. I taught myself how to play drums from the Samael record, Ceremony of Opposites. Like fully taught myself how to do that. And it was this guy. Let's see. Can you see this?
Yeah, that's Counterparts. Yeah,
Counterparts.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of their biggest, or the biggest single off that record, I think. But so Ceremony of Opposites by Samael, like I wanted to replicate that because there was something really carnal about the playing of that record. It was amazing drummer. And then I went into like Morbid Angel with Pete Sandoval and Doc from Vader. And then soon after that, I discovered that, there were things like Virgil Donati and Terry Bozzio out there and Greg Bissonette and guys that were actually like drumming. And so then I wanted to just start incorporating that. But what I didn't do was play any of their stuff, I just learned the techniques that were involved for the most part, the things that I needed to use. So that's all it was. I was fusing fusion and groove drumming in with blast beats, and I just kind of like fell on my own style, or I guess kind of my own style. And here in Houston, we had a band called Crucifixion that had this absolutely amazing drummer. His name was Puppet, and he was like 5'5" Hispanic dude, kind of stocky, but he had this drum set that had like 6 fucking toms across the front, just a whole. And I was probably about 16 or 17 years old when I saw him, and he would play these massive fucking Dave Lombardo fills on this drum set. And I was like, God damn, who the fuck is this guy? I know you're talking like Craig Smilowski level shit off of, the first couple of Immolation records. Crazy long fills. They went over the bar. They fucking met right where they were supposed to. Creative as hell. So in seeing that, I was all like, okay, so a drummer needs to be all of these things. Like, I need to have this whole Dave Lombardo play long fills if I need long fills. I need to have Sean Reinert's intricacy between hands, everything to do with all of his rudimentary playing. You need to have feet and blast beats like Pete Sandoval, and then creative cymbal stuff like Doug Bone from fucking Suffocation and Neil Peart. So, it's just like the same approach that we have to the music that we make is the same approach as a musician. Like I don't have like some singular pool that I'm pulling from. I have a bunch, So I think about that stuff all the time. The song To the Sea, it's the whole time it's a shuffle.
Yeah.
Whenever Dan Swano sent me the mix back, he was just like, what did he say? Master of the shuffle or the ghost note master. And he's like, I don't really engineer records like this too often. Like there's a lot of fucking shit going on this song. And I was like, cool, man. It's like a variation of the Purdy shuffle and the Jeff Porcaro shuffle off of Rosanna by Toto.
Yeah.
And then Fool in the Rain by Bonham.
Fool in the Rain, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot, that covers a lot of ground. It's like it's fucking, you have to do things like John Bonham. But see, for me, I was more a fan of Ian Pace, So I love Zeppelin, but I'm a bigger fan of Deep Purple. And I'm a bigger fan of Deep Purple because of Richie Blackmore. And Richie Blackmore, even though he's a total fucking asshole, apparently, you cannot deny what he did with Deep Purple and with Rainbow. So,
right.
To me,
Truly.
he's like a metal god to me, like he's the shit.
Yeah.
But then, fucking the singers that Deep Purple had, like you can't, like, where the fuck do you even start with that? That shit's incredible.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, Ian Gillan to me is Deep Purple, but I mean, you cannot discount the other guys. But yeah, I mean, we could, this week,
you get into Glenn Hughes and you get into David Coverdale and you're like, wow, this is insane. But Ian Gillan, dude, like, Jesus Christ, when they were formed in the 90s for the Battle Rages On era, like, Ian Gillan was at the top of his fucking game. It's like one of the most impressive, incredible fucking vocal performances ever is on that live footage that they put out. The dude was a monster, And so it's like, grow up with all that stuff, and then I'm listening to a lot of fucking soul music and country music, and it makes for a weird household.
All right. Well, I said we could go for another 3 hours, but I think we gotta let you go, let you have your life back and your night back. But Rich, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to cut you off if you got anything else. I mean, but then when we gotta let you go. Like I said, this is our longest yet, but this has been great, man. I appreciate you coming out.
Yes. Yeah, we got a lot of questions in.
Well, yeah, we just I enjoy talking about music, so I'm super into the shit. So every time I get into an interview, it always turns into a thing.
All right, because
thank you guys. It was fun. I appreciate it. It's good seeing you again. It was good meeting you, Rich. So
yeah, same here. And I hope you weather the storm well. Go hunker down and do what you got to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna drink a bunch of alcohol until I pass out, and then hopefully wake up with a roof on my house.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah. Good luck, man. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Oceans of Slumber, new album September 4th.
Yes.
All right.
Be well.